So the bridge exercise, which we're going to use to help activate the glutes, and also a nice way to inhibit the hip flexors, and it's also a nice stability exercise of the core. So just in terms of starting position, we're going to have the heels around hip width apart, and we're going to have the forearm pointing straight up towards the ceiling and making a fist, and we're going to have the upper arm and the shoulders pressing down. So we've got the elbows, the forearm pushing down into the floor, the upper arm, and also the shoulders. So it's rigid. We want to find a nice strong position. Also thinking about the chin position here and making a nice neutral neck position. So the idea is that we want to brace the abdominals, and then we're going to raise up the hips towards the ceiling. So playing it through, we're going to brace the abs, coming up, squeezing the glutes, coming up, squeezing the glutes. So as it's coming up, this is where we want to finish. So essentially we should be looking for a nice straight line, keeping an eye on what's happening with the knee. It's going to come through the hip and also through the shoulder. So as we're coming up, we're going to squeeze the glutes, coming down, coming up, squeezing the glutes, pushing down into the floor as well. So from here, you can see that as I'm coming up now, I'm not actually getting enough hip extension. The hip is still flexed. So if we look at the angle here, there's the hip, and it's going to come through here. So we haven't got full hip extension, which means that we're not getting the most out of the exercise. So it's coming down, and as it comes up, it's not enough full hip extension. On the reverse of that, now we've got hyperextension happening in the lower back. So as we come up now, you can see that now the angle is changed. Now we've got hyperextension happening. The lower back is going to be arching, and also we've got a rib flare happening at the rib cage here. So my abdominals have switched off, the rib cage has come up, the lower back is arching, and even though it looks as though it's hip extension, it's not true hip extension. It's actually the lower back that's arching. So that's very important to keep an eye on. Coming down, so then what we want to do is reset the position, and then coming up so we can maintain a nice straight line. That's what we're after. Don't come too low. Make sure that the hips come up high enough to squeeze the glutes, and make sure that you're not arching in the lower back. You shouldn't be feeling this in the lower back. If anything, you should be feeling it in the glutes and also in the hamstrings.